Donald Tusk, the Polish Prime Minister, confirmed that the reshuffle of the Polish government will happen on May the 10th. As he mentioned, he already spoke to Polish President Andrzej Duda about it. He already consulted that. Now, joining me to discuss this matter is Mr. Mikołaj Dorożała, Deputy Minister of Climate and Environment. Hello, sir. So,
hello.
What can we expect on Friday?
I think, it's a natural thing that after a couple of months there might be some reshuffles in the government. It's a natural thing. We really have a goal to be here for like 4 years, which is like constitutional term, and it's obvious. So you have to adjust the strategy, you have to adjust the team. So it's a natural matter for the Prime Minister to make some reshuffles. However, from our perspective, from our ministry, there will be not some major reshuffles probably, because we are talking probably about some technical reshuffles. Of course, the coalition in the government is not just one party. We have a couple of parties. We have Koalicja Obywatelska, we have Trzecia Droga, Polska 2050 and PSL, we have Lewica. So there's like a couple of partners, and of course it's not easy to discuss things, to find an agreement, but what is extremely important, and this is something that came after the 15th of October 2023, when the democratic parties, the democratic coalition came to power after 8 years of law and justice rules in Poland, and this is our umbrella. So the whole idea of bringing back democracy here, of bringing back the state of law, and this is something that we are fighting for. So it's just like technical things. Of course, the opposition, they are looking right now for some sensations, but it's absolutely normal that some reshuffles can happen, because that's the process.
There is on the agenda of the lower house of the parliament a vote of no confidence for the Minister of Climate and Environment, for Ms. Paulina Hennig-Kloska. But looking at how the parliament is constructed currently, I guess you would agree with me that there's very little chance for the opposition to push this through.
Minister Paulina Hennig-Kloska, she's one of the most active ministers in the government, and of course, for the former government, for Law and Justice Party, it's natural that they are looking for someone who is strong, who is doing better job, because climate and environment, this is really one particular thing and one particular sector in terms of the ministry that we have that was really neglected by the former government, and we see this right now. In terms of budget, for example, we're supposed to protect the nature. We're supposed to have, some money, some budget that should be spent for environmental projects. And the former government, for example, they bought 2 helicopters to fight with fire, and they bought these helicopters from the piece of money that's supposed to go for environmental projects. So they really neglected the whole aspect of climate, energy, sustainable approach to the environment sector, etc., etc. So, Paulina Hennig-Kloska, she's my boss, and she's doing a great job. And I'm working with her every day. We have a great team in the ministry. She did a lot for the last 4 months in terms, for example, of talking to some sectors, talking with Polish business, for example. We have a wood business, which is about 6% of Polish GDP, and it's really a huge thing. And the former government, they didn't have a time to meet with those people. So we met with the Polish wood sector like in a couple of months, more often than the former government in years. And this simply shows the approach of dialogue, like talking about the state forest that we mentioned some time ago. We really made the big conference, first time in the history of this country. State forest is 30% of the whole land. it's more than 25,000 people working in the state forest company. And there was completely lack of dialogue. So there were like NGOs on one side, and the state forest that was governed, by one of the parties that they've been constructing the former coalition, anti-democratic, and they really did a lot, to unstabilize the whole situation with state forests. So right now we are trying to repair the process, make a platform for dialogue, talking to NGOs, talking to environmental organizations, talking to the state forest company, talking to the local governments to find a common solution how we can govern in terms of climate change, in terms of geopolitical situation, which is not easy. So we have to stabilize things, and environmental things are really important in terms of what we are talking about. Because if we look at Ukraine, I had this meeting with Ukrainian minister, and they already did some assumptions showing how many billions of euros they already lost, or how much money they will have to spend in the future to repair things that were destroyed by the Russians during the war. It's billions of euros just only in terms of environment and climate sector, and this is really a really important issue.
The former administration currently in opposition. What's their? How do they justify their motion for the vote of no confidence?
It's a good question. It's a question probably for them that should be addressed to them, because they are probably looking for some publicity. So they don't have nothing to say. We had, for example. This week we had a commission that was actually a parliamentary commission that was organized by the former government, and we've been discussing FSC certificate. This is an international certificate for forests in many countries, and of course Poland was a part of this FSC certificate system. And the former government actually they decided that they don't want to drop FSC certificate system, which was really had big consequences for the wood sector, and this is also about billions of euros in terms of a couple of years. They just organized this parliamentary commission to talk about the FSC certificate, and I said, okay, so guys, you had 8 years to do something with this certificate. You actually decided that you want to drop this certificate because of no reason, because of getting back Poland from the European structure, of getting out Poland from the international structures. So they have nothing to say, and of course they are looking for some publicity, and probably they can be simply jealous that finally in this, as I said, in the sector of climate and environment, we have finally someone who has this feeling, and Paulina Hennig-Kloska, she has this feeling, and she understands the needs, what we have to do nowadays in terms of climate change, in terms of what we have to do in environmental sector, and she knows it, and she's doing that, and that's the difference.
But it doesn't seem like the opposition is going to have enough votes to push this motion through.
I believe. It's quite obvious that the current Polish government is having the majority in the parliament. So of course there will be the voting, but the result, I would say, is quite obvious.
Let me go back to the reconstruction of the Polish government. When asked by the journalist about it, the Prime Minister said that there could be that the number of the ministries now could be limited. Do you know what ministries could be reduced? There will be some reshuffles, of course, in terms of the European elections, because some of the ministers, they are taking part in the European elections. I don't know what the Prime Minister, had in mind. So, but let's see. As I said, I'm not expecting some big reshuffles, but some reshuffles, it's natural thing. So there might be some, and of course, it's natural process of forming the government and keeping the whole team,
in a good shape because it's not about 4 months that we agreed with the society. We agreed at least for 4 years.
That's why I wanted to ask you, why does none of the ministers of Poland 2050 participate? Why does none of the ministers? Why isn't any minister of Poland 2050 a candidate for the European Parliament?
Yeah, this is what Szymon Hołownia said, the Speaker of the Parliament. He said that it was quite obvious and clear that we have 3 ministers, 3 ladies that are in the government, and they have lots of things to do in terms of climate and environment, in terms of social cooperation and how we would like to approach the NGOs, for example, which is Agnieszka Buczyńska, the minister. She's doing a fantastic job, and also our minister Katarzyna Pełczyńska-Nałęcz. She's dealing now with the funds of the European Union, which was another story that was actually, a thing that really. What the former government did, they did nothing about that. I mean, they did that. We didn't have this money, and we really expected, as a society, we really expected that this money will come to the Polish budget. And now, what the Ministry of European Funds did, they did that. So they unfrozen the situation, and finally, Polish people, companies, entrepreneurs, they can really use this money, farmers as well, for development, which is absolutely crucial, because what is really important, we still have to remind this to ourselves, that there is no option B. The only option that we have on the table is that, we have to really create a space of having this country as a strong partner in the European Union instruction in NATO, and only by this we can achieve some results and we can build a future in terms of having things that can help to develop, which is absolutely crucial to compete on the European market. And what we are doing right now, as I mentioned, the FSC certificate is just one sector of the economy, but this really brings the change for Polish companies to compete with other companies. And so our strategy should be focused really on using the opportunity, being in the European structure, and it's important because we are just 1 month before the European elections, and we have some parties that they are really showing, one approach. What is the B choice? The choice is that we would like to be the part of Kremlin, or we really would like to stay in the part of the Western world. And our position, our government is quite clear about that. There is no option B. Option B is something that happened with one of the judges that actually went to Lukashenko, and he's probably in Russia right now, and that shows, what the people that are really connected somehow with the former government and with some anti-EU parties, where they are benefiting from and where they are looking for some support, maybe financial support as well. This is really a warning sign.
Thank you, sir, for that interview. That was Mikołaj Dorożała, Deputy Minister of Climate and Environment, discussing the topic of the government reshuffle that was announced by Prime Minister Donald Tusk, which will happen this Friday.